I never thought the day would come when my own son would look me in the eyes and say, "My wife's family comes first, you always come last." I swear for a moment it felt like the ground slipped from under my feet, and the worst part. My daughter-in-law stood right beside him, arms folded, head tilted, with this little smirk on her face, like she had finally won some kind of battle I didn't even know we were fighting. Tell me honestly, was I wrong for what I did next? Because even today, I replay that moment in my mind, wondering how the child I raised with so much love could talk to me like that. Would you have reacted differently if your own child said something so cruel? I guess I should start from the beginning, because this story didn't start with that one sentence. It started way earlier, long before my son got married. As a single mother, I raised my son, Ian, completely alone. His father left when he was only 2 years old. I worked 2 jobs, survived on leftover food, and slept barely 4 hours a night just to make sure my son never felt the absence of anything. Not love, not school supplies, not clean shoes, not a single thing. People around me always said, "You spoil him too much, he'll grow up entitled." And I would laugh it off because in my heart I believed that when you give love, it comes back. I never imagined that the person I protected the most would one day be the one to hurt me the deepest. Ian grew up gentle, polite, and always very close to me. We used to eat dinner together every night, share jokes, watch movies, and talk about everything from school drama to his dreams. When he got older, he became my emotional support too. He used to hug me and say, "Mama, one day I'll earn so much money you'll never have to work a single day." I held those words close to my heart for years. Maybe that's why today they sting so much. Then he met her, Miriam. At first, I genuinely liked her. She was sweet, polite, and always smiling. She came from a well-off family, a very loud and opinionated family, the type of people who make everything a competition. During the early months of their relationship, I noticed small things about her, but brushed them off as insecurities or misunderstandings. For example, whenever Ian hugged me, she would suddenly cling to his arm or look away like she felt left out. If Ian did something nice for me, like buying groceries or fixing something around the house, she would make comments like, "Your mom can't hire someone," or "Why are you still doing everything for her?" She once even said, "A married man shouldn't be spending so much time at his mother's house." I laughed awkwardly, thinking it was a joke. But she didn't laugh. That should have been my first warning. When they got engaged, things changed even more. Her family insisted on handling every arrangement, every decision, every detail. Not once did they ask for my input. I'm not the type of mother who tries to interfere, so I stayed quiet, but I could feel it, a growing distance between me and my son. He started canceling our usual dinners, visiting less often, answering my calls late, sometimes not at all. I try to tell myself, he's busy, he's building his future, but deep down it hurt. Still, I supported him because that's what mothers do. After the wedding, everything became worse. For the first 3 months of their marriage, I barely saw my son. When he finally invited me over for dinner, I was so excited I dressed up and even brought a homemade dish, something he'd loved since childhood. But the moment I entered their home, I felt like a stranger. His in-laws were sitting there, legs crossed, judging everything with their eyes. And my daughter-in-law, God, she barely looked at me. The entire evening she kept making passive remarks like, "My family likes things done this way, and we don't do it like that in our house." Even when I served the dish I brought, she said softly, but loud enough for her mother to hear, "Ian doesn't like oily food anymore." That hurt because I used to cook that same dish for him every week, and he always used to finish it like he was starving. But I stayed silent. I swallowed every little insult, every micro-aggression, every side comment because I didn't want to cause drama. I just wanted my son to be happy. Months passed and things kept going downhill. Ian rarely visited. Whenever he did, he always seemed stressed. Once I asked him, "Are you okay? Are things okay between you two?" He hesitated and said, "Mama, just don't ask too many things." That broke my heart more than anything. The boy who used to tell me everything now avoided even basic conversation. Meanwhile, my daughter-in-law's parents would constantly demand Ian's time. They'd hold dinners 3 times a week, call him endlessly, expect him to drive them around, fix their house issues, attend every tiny gathering. Ian once said, "They treat me like a son," and I wanted to scream, "You are a son, mine," but I stayed quiet again. Silence became my companion. Then came the moment everything changed. It was a Sunday morning. I had been feeling unwell for days, weakness, dizziness, and I finally decided to call Ian. All I said was, "Beta, if you can, please come visit for a little while. I haven't seen you in so long." He replied to my message 3 hours later with, "Busy today." No explanation. No concern, and guess where he was? At his in-laws' barbecue. I saw the photos online, him laughing, eating, smiling, while I sat alone in my small living room wondering where I went wrong. I cried that night, really cried, the kind of cry that leaves your chest burning. The next week, something happened that pushed everything over the edge. My electricity bill had doubled out of nowhere. I panicked because I knew I couldn't pay it on time. Embarrassed but desperate, I called my son and said softly, "Ian, I need a little help this month, just this once." There was a long silence. Then he said, "I'll ask Miriam and see." I was shocked. Ask his wife. Since when did a mother's emergency become a matter to discuss? Still, I waited. The next day he called, and his tone was cold, distant, mechanical. "Mama, we can't help you right now. Miriam said we already have commitments with her family." Commitments with her family, commitments that were more important than his own mother's basic life necessity. I don't know what came over me, but I said, "Ian, I'm your mother." And his answer was the beginning of the end. "Mama, stop saying that like it gives you a right over everything. My wife's family comes first. You always come last." And then that smirk. That smug, satisfied smirk on my daughter-in-law's face, like she had been waiting years to hear those words out loud. Like she had finally succeeded in pushing me out completely. It was the kind of expression you don't forget. So now you understand the situation I was in. Before I tell you what happened next, pause for a second and tell me honestly, if your own child told you that you always come last, what would you do? Would you stay silent like I did all these years, or would you finally stand up for yourself? Comment below what you would have done in my place, because trust me, I had reached a breaking point. After that conversation, something snapped inside me. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had no child. Like the boy I raised was gone, replaced by someone I couldn't recognize. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I simply said, "Ian, I hope you never have to feel the pain you're causing right now." And I hung up the phone. And then I stopped calling, I stopped messaging, I stopped waiting, I stopped checking my phone every hour. I stopped cooking his favorite meals. I stopped being available 24/7. I stopped being the mother who always forgave everything. I decided that if I truly came last in his life, then I would remove myself from that list altogether. A week later, I blocked his number, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Another week passed and I didn't hear from him. Not a message, not a knock on my door, nothing. The silence hurt, but it also healed. For the first time, I focused on myself. I took long walks, cleaned the house, rearranged my bedroom, listened to music, even started journaling. I had spent my entire life being a mother. I had forgotten how to be a person. One morning, while I was making tea, someone knocked on the door. It was Ian. He looked tired, stressed, nothing like the confident man from his in-laws' gatherings. I didn't open the door immediately. For a moment I actually considered pretending I wasn't home, but then I opened it. He said, "Mama, why did you block me?" I replied calmly, "You said I come last, so I assumed my presence doesn't matter." His shoulders dropped instantly. "Mama, I didn't mean it like that," I said. "You meant it exactly like that," and she smiled because she wanted you to mean it. He went silent. Then he said something that surprised me. "Mama, things at home aren't good." He hesitated, then continued, "Miriam's parents, they want too much. They get upset if I don't go. They compare everything. They say I should prioritize them because they gave me Miriam." I raised an eyebrow. "And what did I give you? Life?" He looked down. "I know, Mama, I messed up." For the first time in months, he looked like my son again, confused, lost, overwhelmed. He said he felt trapped, pressured, manipulated. That every time he tried to spend time with me, his wife accused him of choosing his mother over his marriage. He said the barbecue photo I saw. He didn't even want to go. He went because saying no would have caused a fight for weeks. I listened quietly. I didn't comfort him. I didn't hug him. I didn't tell him it was okay, because it wasn't. He finally said, "Mama, please talk to me again." And I said something he didn't expect. "Ian, I will always love you, but I will not allow myself to be disrespected again. If you want to be part of my life, then you need to set boundaries in yours." He nodded slowly, like a child being scolded. But I could see it, the realization finally sinking in. Maybe for the first time, he understood what I had silently endured for years. Since that day, things have changed. Ian visits regularly now, alone. He stays for tea, for dinner, sometimes even helps around the house. He calls me before sleeping, like he used to. As for my daughter-in-law, she avoids me, and honestly, that's fine. I'm not forcing anything. Ian told me he started saying no to his in-laws, and guess what? They didn't like it. They accused me of pulling him away, but Ian finally said something I thought I'd never hear again. "I make my own decisions, and I'm choosing balance. It's not perfect. There's still tension, still awkwardness, still healing happening. But at least my son found his voice again. And I found my dignity, so in the end, what did I learn? That sometimes loving someone means stepping back. That boundaries aren't disrespect, they're survival. And that a mother's love doesn't mean accepting every wound silently. If you don't protect your own heart, no one else will. If you were on my side during this whole story, like this video. Subscribe for more stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your own child said you come last? I'll see you all in the next story.